Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जयो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Welcome to Bhakti Shastri class, module 3, starting with chapter 13. This is the Jnana Yoga. The first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita speaks about karma. The next 6 chapter is about Bhakti, and the last 6 chapters are about the Jnana or knowledge. The entire Bhagavad Gita, it is mainly speaking about how to do Bhakti to the Lord. And the beginning chapter, the first chapter, is about the questions by Arjuna, where Arjuna is giving so many arguments why he don't want to fight. Especially we have 5 reasons why Arjuna don't want to fight, whatever he has given. And in the second chapter, Krishna has answered all the questions. All the 5 reasons he has given the answer why he has to fight. But at the end of the second chapter, Arjuna asks some questions so that the remaining chapters got expanded. Mainly, at the end of second chapter, Krishna explains about Sthita Prajna, and the person who is sober should be satisfied within himself. Atmanyevatmana tushta sthita prajnastadochyate. Then the question raises, it's a question independent of the previous explanation. Whatever explanation is given at the end, that is the Sthita Prajna, based on the question is raised in the beginning of third chapter. If at all becoming Sthita Prajna is the goal of life, then what is the need of having this war? That is a question of Arjuna. Then Krishna has to explain how Jnana and Karma has to go together. They are not independent. One who has the knowledge is the right person to do the activity, perform the activity. One who doesn't have the knowledge, if he performs activity, he will get entangled. But the same activity, if it is performed with knowledge, it can be the cause of liberation. Now, this is beginning with the third chapter. It goes on in many ways. The fourth chapter explains about the knowledge. Fifth chapter about the knowledge with the karma sannyasa. The activity with Krishna consciousness is the real sannyasa. And then in the sixth chapter, it is talking about dhyana, meditation. So this much is about the karma or activities that we perform, especially starting with 3, 4, 5, 6. These 4 chapters speaks about the activity that we perform. in the devotional service. And this devotional service, the conclusion of karma should be bhakti. The last chapter of 6th chapter says, Yogi namapi sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamamataha. One who performs yoga is called as yogi. Yogi means to connect with the Lord. Any activity that we perform with an intention to connect to Lord is called yoga or yajna. Yajna is also having the same meaning. Any activity that is performed for the pleasure of the Lord is called yajna, because Yajnapati is Lord Krishna. So this yogi, one who has the intention to please Krishna, to connect himself with Krishna, he is called as yogi. And among all the yogis, who is the greatest? The one who is constantly able to think of Lord Krishna. Yogi namapi sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samyukta tamamata. He is the greatest among all the yogis. So that is the conclusion of karma yoga. Any activity that you perform, if it brings you the remembrance of Krishna, then your activity is correct. If it makes you forget Krishna, then don't do such activity. This is the easiest way to identify whether you have to perform some activity or not. Smartavyam satatam vishnur vismartavyam na jatuchit. Sarva vidhi nishedhasyur yetayoreva kinkaraha. The entire Vedic literature has one purpose. That is to make the people always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So this is the easiest way how we can analyze whether what I am doing is right or not. Then from the 7th chapter begins with the Bhakti Yoga, and in Bhakti Yoga there are 9 processes: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. But in that, the first one is Shravana. The 7th chapter also begins with the same process, that is Shravana. Maya Saktamana Partha, Yogam Yunjan Madashrayah, Asamshayam Samagramam, Yatadnyasasi Tatshrunu. Shrunu starts with Shrunu, here. First you hear about the Lord. Shabda Pramani. Then gradually, the 9th chapter explains about the confidential knowledge, how we can connect to the Lord. And the 15th chapter explains once you come to the perfection, when we go to the spiritual world, how the spiritual world will be. Like that. Then what are the things? Okay, that 15th chapter yet to come. So these things will be explained. The 12th chapter is the conclusion of this section, that is Bhakti Yoga. In that, we can understand that Bhakti is not optional. Bhakti is for everyone. Anybody wants to perfect their life, they have to take to Bhakti. So whenever something is compulsory, then it has to be made available for everyone. So how to make it available for everyone? Just like you may having a big bungalow, very rich bungalow, it is not compulsory for everyone. Those who have money, they will have. Those who don't have money, they can lead their life as they like. But if there is something which is very, very important, some vaccination for some disease, it has to be given to everyone. Then the government will make the arrangement such that it is available for those who have money, those who don't have money, everyone will get it. Similarly, Krishna also makes the bhakti available for everyone. It is not only for those who are completely absorbed in the thought of Krishna, which is the perfection, but also it is for a person who has no time for doing any kind of bhakti. Also, he can take to bhakti from wherever he is there. Just like a mother, when she wants to pick the child, she will bend and take the child and she will embrace. Similarly, Krishna also, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have no energy, no power to see him or go to him or remember him. This is all beyond our capacity. But Krishna has made it easy. He says, if you are not able to remember me constantly, at least you can perform some activity which will make you to remember me. If you are not able to do perform activity for me, then at least whatever you are performing, the result of it you can give to me. If you are still not able to do that, then at least the result you don't enjoy it for your sense gratification, because when a person engages in the sense gratification, he will forget Krishna. Like that, Krishna makes it more and more easy, so that somewhere you can catch up and you can start your bhakti. So that is the beauty of this 12th chapter, which has only 20 shloka, but it is made the process easy. In the first part, Karma Yoga, the Jiva or the living entity is the center of discussion, where the Lord is giving the identity for the Jiva or the living entity. Because if you want to know anything, first of all, you should know what is your identity. When I know that I am a student, I will be studying. If I don't know that I am a student, then why should I go to school? So first of all, my identity should be very clear. That's what Krishna is telling. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuhyati. Just like we are changing the body. Every day we are changing the body. The body is changing, the cells are changing, and one day we will die and give up this body. Kaumara, Yavana, Jara, then another body. Again, Kaumara, Yavana, Jara, another body. Like that, 84 lakh species of life, we keep going. So these all discussions are centered around the Jiva. How the Jiva is, or the living entity is connected to the Supreme Lord, and how the living entity is connected to the material world. These are the three main discussion that is going on in the entire 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Jiva, Ishvara, and Prakriti. Kala and Karma, it is there throughout. These are the five main topics. Among them, Jiva, Ishvara, and Prakriti. These are the three main topics. And in the three topics, the first one, Jiva, is the main topic in the first part, that is Karma Yoga. And in the second part, in Bhakti Yoga, the Lord is at the center. And the relation between the Lord and Jiva, and Lord and the material world, that is explained in the next 6 chapters. That is from chapter number 7 to 12. Now, in the 13th chapter, we are doing the remaining part. That is the jnana, or knowledge, with keeping the material world at the center. This Prakriti will be kept at the center, and the other parts, that is, what is the relation between Prakriti and Jiva? What is the relation between Prakriti and Lord? That is explained in the last 6 chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Now, making or understanding the middle 6 chapter of Bhagavad Gita is like you are cultivating a beautiful garden. This garden, which is cultivated within our heart, we can offer it to the Lord. We have understood what is the Guhyatama Yoga, the Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yoga. And in that, we have understood how to please Krishna. What he likes, what he dislikes. In 12th chapter also he has told, one who performs this, I like this. That is, he has told everything, what he likes and what he doesn't like. Now, based on this, we can perform our bhakti. But this garden has to be protected with a proper fencing. Otherwise, anybody can take advantage. Anybody can attack the garden or the flowers or the fruits that you are getting. For that, you need knowledge. Knowledge is for protection. It will give you proper protections. If you don't have the knowledge, you are only performing bhakti, then it will become sentimental, or you may stop you doing your bhakti at any point of time. But if you are having the support from the knowledge, by the knowledge, why we have to perform bhakti and what is the philosophy, then our bhakti becomes more strong. Otherwise, anybody can come tomorrow and tell you, why are you wasting every day morning 2 hours in a day? You may also feel, oh, that's true. But if you have the knowledge, how we are entangled in this material world, and what are the things that binds us here, and how to come out of it, what are the 3 modes, then we are protected. So this protection also given by the last 6 chapters, or especially the last 5 chapters. 18th chapter is the summary of all. 2nd chapter is also summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. 18th chapter is also summary. The beginning with 13 to 15th, 16th chapter, 17th chapter is the knowledge part. In today's lesson, we are following the PPT of Atul Krishna Prabhu. So whatever he has mentioned as the topics that we will be studying. So in this lesson, today's lesson, that is lesson 1 under module 2, module 3, chapter 13 and 14 both are included. But today we'll see the chapter number 13, and in the next session we'll continue to the chapter number 14. Shri Radha Govind ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Unit 3, elevation through the modes. Now in this unit, we have units aims to deepen students' understanding of the working of the 3 modes of material nature, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, as described in chapter 13 to 18 of Bhagavad Gita as it is. Material nature means 3 modes, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. This we have already seen. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimodhatma karta ahamiti manyate. The living entity, he has no power to do any activity. His only thing he can do is the desiring. Like a small child, it can only ask his parents, I want this, I want that, that's all. And the parents has to provide that same. Similarly, the jiva, the living entity, is also like a small child. It needs so many things. It has so many desires. It has to express it to the Supreme Lord, who is sitting in the heart as the Paramatma. Paramatma has 2 activities, 2 things to do. That is Anumanta and Upadrishta. Anumanta means Anumati, to give the permission. Upadrishta means to be a witness for all the activity that we perform. So when the jiva desires something, immediately the Paramatma will come to know about it. And based on our karma, he will sanction or he will reject. That is Anumanta. Now by the energy of the Paramatma, this body can move. This body can perform any kind of activity. Otherwise, the jiva or living entity, he has no energy to move this body. We can take the example of a vehicle. When the driver is within the vehicle, he can take the vehicle to any place, wherever he wants. It doesn't mean that he is carrying the vehicle's load on his head. He is only controlling it using some systems like the steering or brake or accelerator. But the actual energy that is needed for moving the vehicle is there within the vehicle itself. That is the engine. If the engine doesn't work, then the driver cannot move the vehicle. So to move this vehicle of body, the energy is generated within the body, and moving this body is not in the hand of Jiva. It can only desire. This has to happen, this has to happen. Then the Supreme Lord, he will make it happen. And how the activity will be, it is based on the three modes. If a person is in Sattva Guna, he will do a certain kind of activity. If he is in the mode of Rajoguna, he will do another kind of activity. And if he is in the mode of Tamoguna, he will do in another kind of activity. When we go and speak to someone, we'll first check their mood. Are they in good mood, or are they in tension or any difficulty? Will they listen to me if I talk to them now? So this mood checking we do, so that our work gets done. Because if you talk in any mood, according to that mood, they will react. That means your activity is controlled by the mode in which you are. You are not independent of that. In the morning, when we are fresh, then we will be in Sattva Guna. And if somebody comes and asks for some help or anything, we will be ready to help them. We'll speak to them nicely. But in the evening, when we are too tired and we just want to take rest, if somebody come and ask you some difficulty, you may or may not accept, because I just want to, I'm very tired now. So like that, the mood will decide, or mode will decide what you want to do. So these things, so material nature is nothing but Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Understanding these modes and how to cultivate, how to come out of Raja and Tama, and how to cultivate the Sattva Guna within us, so that it becomes a platform for raising above Sattva Guna. That is the aim of this unit. That means if you are studying module number 3, means at the end of the study, you should be able to understand what the three modes are, how they are acting, and how can we cultivate these modes within us. So we have the freedom to cultivate the modes. What kind of mode I want to be in, that freedom we have. But once we cultivate such kind of mode, after that what happens, that is in the hands of the mode. If we have cultivated Tamoguna lifestyle, then we cannot expect any result that of Sattva-guna. We will be in Tamoguna only, because I have cultivated that kind of activity, that kind of lifestyle. So we have to decide in what mode we should be, and then we can get the same result. The unit aims to help students identify the symptoms of three modes and become more aware of how these modes may be influencing them. So the aim is to come to the Sattva Guna in the beginning, so that we can chant peacefully. The unit aims to equip students with skills required to elevate themselves to Sattva Guna and ultimately transcendence. Yes. Overview of this unit. There are totally 5 lessons. First lesson is about entanglement in the modes of nature. That is 13th chapter, Prakriti, Purusha and Viveka Yoga, or distinction between matter and spirit, nature, the enjoyer and the consciousness. That is the first lesson. That includes chapter number 13 and 14, lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, it is 15th chapter, the banyan tree and Purushottama Yoga example. The banyan tree example, Purushottama Yoga. Then 16th chapter, divine and demonic natures. That is Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga. Lesson 4 is the 17th chapter, the three modes, or the Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Then lesson 5 is 18th chapter, last one, the summary. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. That is surrendering to Krishna. What is there in 13th chapter? 13th chapter name is Nature, Enjoyer and Consciousness. Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness. In the beginning of this chapter, that is first 7 shloka of this chapter, is explaining about Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Kshetra means the field. Kshetrajna means the knower of the field. The field here can refer to the land, or it can refer to our body, or it can refer to the working area or the field in whatever you are doing the activity, the platform. All this comes under Kshetra. And who knows this Kshetra, who is using this Kshetra, he is the Kshetrajna. Jna means to know. First 7 shloka, that is first shloka is Arjuna is asking 7 question. There are 6 questions Arjuna is asking. For that, Krishna is answering those questions. Beginning, Krishna answers 3 questions. Question number 3, 4, and 5 will be answered by the end of 7th shloka. And then the process of knowledge, 8 to 12, that is answer number 5 will be given, the continuation from 8 to 12. Then object of knowledge, Jnana and Jnaya. Jnana means process of knowledge. Jnaya means object of knowledge. It will be answered in 13 to 19. That is question number 6, last question. Then the first 2 questions will be answered in the shloka 20 to 26, Prakriti, Purusha and their union. Then last part is called Jnana Chakshusha, that is the vision of knowledge, from 27 to 35. So totally there are 35 shloka in this chapter. All of you please open the book Bhagavad Gita and see the shloka. Arjuna uvacha prakritim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetrajnameva cha etadveditum ichchami jnanam jneyam cha keshava. Shri Bhagavan uvacha idam shariram kaunteya kshetram iti abhidiyate etadyo veti tam prahu kshetrajna iti tadviduhu tadvidaha. Arjuna is asking, my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, Purusha and the field and the knower of the field. That is, Prakriti is the nature, the enjoyer is the Purusha, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the object of knowledge. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, this body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. Jnana and Jnaya. The first question is about what is Prakriti? What is this nature? The second question is what is Purusha? Prakritim Purusham Chaiva. That is Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Then third question is about the Kshetram, the field. And question number 4 is Kshetrajna. Question number 5, Jnana. Then last question is Jnaya. So these are 2 pairs. Prakriti Purusha, Kshetra Kshetrajna, Jnana Jnaya. Totally there are 6 questions. 6 things Krishna has to define now. This is the question. Purusha Prakritistohi, living entity in matter, Bhungte Prakriti Jan Gunan. Enjoys nature, born modes. That is the shloka number 1322 is telling. Based on the 3 modes, the living entity either he enjoys or he will suffer. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the 3 modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. So because of the material nature is the one who is going to decide what kind of body I am going to get in my next life. And it is based on the result of my activity. whatever activity I have performed in this life, accordingly I will be given another body according to that, according to my tendency. Karanam guna sangosya sadasad yoni janmasu. Cause association, good or bad birth will be given. In the next sloka, 13.3, where Krishna is answering to Arjuna. 13.2 itself, he has given the 2 to 7, he is giving the answer. Part 1, 2a, that is the first part of second shloka. Kshetrajna. What is Kshetra? Kshetra is the body of the living entity. And Kshetrajna is, there are two kinds of Kshetrajna. One is the soul, the living entity who is present in the heart. And another living entity, another Kshetrajna is the Paramatma, the super soul who is present in the heart. So it is Kshetra, it is the Atma and Paramatma. Both are sitting in the same place. Just like two birds are sitting on the one tree. Both are having the knowledge of the body. But what is the difference? If you see the third shloka, Kshetrajnam cha api mam vidhi. Cha also. That means I am also the knower of this body. That is, the Paramatma knows the body. Whatever happening in this body, Paramatma knows. If any pain is there in my body, it is not only I will be knowing, it is also the Paramatma. He is also knowing about my body. But the difference is, I know only about my body, but Paramatma knows the body of everyone. The king, he has the knowledge of the entire kingdom. And there are so many farmers, they are cultivating in his kingdom. Those farmers know only about their small land. But the king knows about everything. Similarly, the Paramatma, he is pervading everywhere. The word Vishnu means Vishate, one who is omnipresent, omniscient. He is present everywhere and he knows everything. Because of that, he is also the knower of this body. So Kshetrajna means one who knows the body, one who knows the Kshetra. Now, next part is Jnana and Jnaya. Jnana means the perfect knowledge, the knowledge which will take us to near to Krishna, the knowledge which help us to perform bhakti. That is the real knowledge. And how to gain this knowledge? There is a list of 20 characters that one has to develop for achieving this knowledge. Jnana, the process of acquiring knowledge. That is the answer number 5. What is Jnana? In that, Krishna is including all the requirements or qualifications to achieve the knowledge, gain the knowledge. In the 13.67 up to 18th shloka, we can see the 6 topics about Kshetra and Kshetrajna that are there throughout this chapter. In the beginning, the 13.6 is explaining about the composition of this body, that is Kshetra. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi. So it is talking about what are the different compositions. If you open the text number 6 and 7. Mahabhutani ahankaro buddhiravyaktam evacha indriyani dashaikam cha pancha chendriya gochara. Ichcha dvesha sukham dukkham sangasta chetana dhritihi etat kshetram samasena sa vikaram udahritam. These are the 24 elements. This is elaborately explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but here it is given in the short form. That is the 6th shloka. So what are the things that are included here? There are 5 great elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And these 5 elements, they are producing 5 sense objects. That is Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, and Gandha. So that is the smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. These 5 things are coming from these 5 elements. And to acquire these 5 elements or 5 objects of senses, we have 5 senses within us. That is 5 input senses. The Indriya, Jnanendriya. That is, they are the eyes, ear, nose, tongue, and skin. So totally now 15 are over. Then there are 5 working senses. That is Vak, Pani, Pada, Guda, and Upastha. Vak means speech. Through speech we can perform activity. And Pani, with hand we do the activity. Pada, we can walk. Guda and Upastha, the genital and anus. These are the 5 working senses. Totally there are 20. Now the remaining 4 are the intelligence, false ego, pradhana, and also the mind. Mind, intelligence, false ego, mana, buddhi, ahankara, and the last one is pradhana. Pradhana means the avyakta form of the creation. That is also called mahattattva. The mahattattva, when pradhana is glanced by the Lord, it will be performing, or it will be creating the material world. Otherwise, it will be in the avyakta state or unmanifested state. So all those things together, it's called pradhana. So totally there are 24 elements that you need for making this creation. If any one thing is missing, it is not possible to do the creation. Just like if you want to cook, you need water, you need rice, dal, or vegetables, salt, chili, all these things are needed. If there are missing elements, then cooking will not be proper. Similarly, if you have these 24 elements, the creation will happen. If it is lacking, then creation will not happen. Why these all are explained here? Because these all are connected to the kshetra. The first question of Arjuna. He is asking what is kshetra. So Krishna is explaining kshetra means these are the kshetra. This entire creation itself is a kshetra. And within this, you have your body, which is also made of all these 24 elements. Our body also has everything. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. The creation of the Lord is complete, and whatever comes out of that complete is also complete. It also has all the elements. And within this body, the living entity is present, and he is enjoying or suffering the material world. Then qualities of the body, that is Yadrik. 13.7 will explain the second part. The qualities of the body is to change. First of all, we take birth, we'll grow, and we maintain ourselves for some time. Then after that, we'll produce byproducts, then decline, old age, then death. These are the 6 vikara of this body. So that's why Arjuna is asking Yadvikara, Yadrik. Then in the next part, the changes that body is undergoing, it's called Yadvikari, and it is explained even in the text number 20, Prakriti and Purusha. There are different natures that we'll see later. Then origin of the body, that is Yatayaha, that is also explained in the 13.6. 6, 21, 22, 30, all this. And identity, that is the swarupa of the living entity within the body, and the powers of the knower of the body, Yat Prabhava. What are the rights that you have having this body? That is, everywhere are 14 to 18, that is given. The power of the knower of the body. Here the power is given about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Paramatma. Sarvata Panipadam Tat Sarvatokshi Shiromukham Sarvata Shrutimal Loke Sarvam Avritya Tishtati. These are 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. These 5 shlokas are explaining about what are the different powers that the Kshetrajna has. Sarvendriya Gunabhasam, Sarvendriya Vivarjitam, Asaktam Sarvabhrutchaiva, Nirgunam Gunabhoktucha. These are the different natures of the body. The knowledgeable person or the Kshetrajna. So in the PPT only this much is given in. So we'll continue with the Bhagavad Gita. Please open your Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is explaining he is answering the questions that is asked by Arjuna. Totally there are 6 questions. The first 3 questions are explained. Question number 3, 4, 5. That is Kshetra, Kshetrajna and Jnana. It is explained in the first 7 shloka of Bhagavad Gita of this 13th chapter. Here we open the fourth shloka. Go to 4th shloka. Now please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what is its changes are, where it is produced, what knower of the field of activity is, and what is his influences. That knowledge of the field of activity and of the knower of the activity is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. This Krishna is also giving the reference. Rishibhir Bahuda Gitam Chandobhir Vividai Pratak Brahma Sutra Pradeschaiva Hetumadbhir Vinischitaye. Whenever we present some knowledge, it has to be supported by the references. We cannot just speak from our own understanding. We should give some references where it is told like this. Krishna is the final reference, or whatever he speaks, that is Shastra, but still he is also giving the reference. That is, all these things are explained in the Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra Padeschaiva. The ingredients of the material world is explained. Just now we have seen what are the 24 ingredients. That is in the text number 6 and 7. Going further, text number 8 to 12, these are the qualification for acquiring knowledge. If we want to acquire knowledge, then we have to cultivate these 20 qualities. What are they? Amanitvam, Adambhitvam, Ahimsa, Kshanti Marjavam, Acharyopasanam, Shaucham, Stairyam, Atmavinigraha, Indriyarteshu Vairagyam, Anahankara Evacha, Janma Mrityujara Vyadhi, Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam, Asaktir Anabishwanga, Putradara Grihadishu, Nityam Cha Samachitatvam, Ishtanishtopapatishu, Maichananya Yogena, Bhakti Ravyabhicharini, Vivikta Desha Sevitvam, Aratirjana Sansadi, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam, Tattva Jnana Artha Darshanam, Eta Jnanam iti Proktam, Ajnanam Yat Athonyatha. Totally there are 20. Anybody would like to read the translation can raise their hand. Long translation it is. Yeah, Chitra Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Next. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with the children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge. And besides this, whatever they may be is ignorance. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Ma'am. Hare Krishna. So these are the things called as knowledge. So by cultivating these characters, we can attain the knowledge. Now, reading the purport is beyond the scope of this class, but you can just understand. It starts with humility. Anybody who is humble, he will receive the knowledge. Vidya dadati vinayam vinayadyati patratvam. If a person gains the knowledge, then it should make him humble. When we understand or when we learn some knowledge, the first first benefit what we get from that knowledge is we will come to know how much we don't know. Now I came to know about this. That means I did not know this about this earlier. And if I go on exploring, there are so many more things to learn. That means I am going to understand that I am ignorant. And that knowledge of my ignorance will make me humble so that I can learn more and more. But if we become proud by getting the knowledge, oh, now I got this much knowledge, nobody else knows all these things, then that is the end of your knowledge. You can't learn more than that. You cannot proceed. That becomes an obstruction. So that first of all, one should have the humility. Don't expect any respect from others. Not expecting the expectation of respect from others. That is the humility. Adambitvam, pridelessness. Don't be very anxious to become famous. That is the adambitvam, pridelessness. These are the definitions given by Prabhupada. Ahimsa means don't put others into distress. The ahimsa means don't trouble other living entities or don't kill the animals. That is very basic understanding. But putting anybody into distress, that is called as himsa. So ahimsa means don't put anybody into distress. Tolerance means you have to be able to bear the insult or dishonor that may happen. One should be able to bear it. That is the kshanti, tolerance. And simplicity, one should be very straightforward and he should not be diplomatic. Whatever is there in the heart, he should speak out directly. That is the arjavam, simplicity. This is very important between the guru and disciple, the spiritual master and the shishya. It is very important because whatever is there in the heart, we should reveal to the spiritual master. We should not hide it, because even in material also, if you tell any lie to the doctor, then you are only sufferer. He will give some wrong medicine. Similarly, if you go to spiritual master and if you don't reveal the things, fact, then spiritual master is beyond material conception. But still, it's our duty to reveal our heart. Then that is simplicity, arjavam. Acharyopasanam, that is serving the bona fide guru without any material motivation. Only motivation is to gain devotion to Krishna, serving the spiritual master. Then shaucham, cleanliness. Both cleanliness is needed, internal cleanliness and external cleanliness. Internally, we have to chant the holy name of the Lord, and externally, we should take bath at least twice in a day. And ideally, it will be 3 times in a day. It's good. So that is shaucham. Sthairya means steadiness, determined to progress in spiritual life. It is told that when we take to spirituality, it is like you are declaring war against Maya. So Maya will give so many obstructions in your every step of bhakti. So you should be very steady in our practice. Then Atma Vinigraha, self-control. Whatever unavoidable, unwanted things are there, you should reject it. Unfavorable things. Anukulyena sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. Indriyarteshu vairagyam, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, pratyahara. We should not perform any activity for sense gratification. We should live only for the maintenance of the body. Whatever needed, we can accept, but not as a sense gratification. Anahankara evacha. One should not have false ego. What is false ego? No identification with the body. Ego means my existence. Who am I? That is ego. False ego means I am accepting something to be true, which is not true. If I say I am the Prime Minister of India, that is false. And if I say I am this body, that is also false. It's a false ego. The real ego is I am a servant of Krishna. Jivera Swarupohaya Krishnera Nityadasa. That is the real ego. That is encouraged. But if you say I am this body and whatever belongs to this body is mine, then it is false ego. Then Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. Perception of the evil of birth, death, old age and disease that they give rise to suffering. We should talk about birth, death, old age and disease. Sometimes people say that this is all inauspicious to talk about death. It is not good. No, actually, we should be aware of all these things, because one day we are going to die. We are not going to live here permanently. So we should be aware of it and we should prepare for it. Asakti Ranabhishwanga Putradara Grihadishu. Detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest. That is 13th and 14th part. The person should be detached. It doesn't mean that if he can give up all his responsibilities. Detachment is not an excuse for escaping from responsibility. The person has to, whatever responsibility he has taken, he has to perform it. But at the heart, he should know that everything is in the hands of Krishna and we have to leave everything. It is not permanent. The attachment can cause our spiritual progress may be blocked, or it may affect our next life also. Nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatishu. Even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant event. Whether the situation is pleasant or unpleasant, we should maintain even-mindedness. Then Maichananya Yogena Bhakti Ravyabhicharani. Constant unalloyed devotion to Krishna. Undeviated attention to Krishna. This is very important for attaining the knowledge. Then Vivikta Desha Sevitvam. Secluded living in the association of devotees. Now here, living in the secluded place means we should understand what is the purpose behind telling this. We should go away from the people who are materialistic in their nature. Not that I will go and live in some forest where there is nobody. That is not the meaning here. Meaning here is we should give up the Janasanga. Janasanga means the materialistic people. But when there is an association of devotees, then we should take that association, because it will give us help us to advance in our spiritual life. Aratir Janasansadi, detachment from the general mass of people. Then Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam, accepting the importance of self-realization. We should be thoroughly convinced that I should be advancing in my spiritual life and I want to cultivate spirituality, Krishna consciousness. Then Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam, philosophical search for the absolute truth. As Prabhupada says, religion with philosophy, both are needed. Otherwise, it will be sentimental, or it may be a mental speculation. Etad jnanamiti proktam ajnanam yat itanta. These all are jnana. Now, in the last question, that is answered from 13 to 19 shloka, where Krishna is telling what is the object of knowledge, what I have to get. Jnaya. So what I am going to get by this knowledge? The first thing is we get the liberation. Amritattvam ashnute. The 13th shloka will tell in the next shloka. Jnayam cha yat pravakshyami yajñatvam amritam ashnute. Anadimat param brahma nasat tan nasaduchyate. That is in the second line you can see. Yajñatva amritam ashnute. That is the first result of gaining the knowledge. You will be liberated from the misery of this material world, birth, death, old age, and disease. Then in the next part, Brahma, Param Brahma is given. Here, Brahma, the word Brahma can be referring to the living entity, Jiva, and also to the supreme living entity, that is Param Brahma. Brahma and Parabrahma. We can refer ourselves to be Brahma and the Paramatma as Parabrahma, the spirit soul. And these both are beginningless, but the Jiva is subordinate to the Parabrahma. The Brahma is subordinate to Parabrahma. Jivatma is subordinate to Paramatma. And they live beyond the cause and effect of this material world. That means the living entity, Jiva and Paramatma, they both are not affected by the cause and effect of this material world. They are beyond that. But because we identify ourselves with this body, and the body is affected by the cause and effect of this material world, we feel that we are also getting affected. But for a liberated person, one who has already achieved the Amritattva Mashnute, then he has no effect on him. Then from 14, next shloka up to the shloka number 18, Krishna is explaining what are the different qualities of the super soul that we have seen in brief in the beginning. That is Sarvata Panipadam Tat. Everywhere are his hands and legs. Everywhere his eyes, hands and heads and faces. Everywhere are his eyes. He is all pervading. He is source of all senses, devoid of material senses. Unattached, though he is the maintainer of all, master of modes, yet transcendental to them. These are the nature of the super soul that are explained. Because this is a jnaya. The first thing is liberation. Second, that is liberation is Brahman Sakshatkara. Next is Paramatma Sakshatkara. That is explained in from 14 to 18, where we can understand the qualities of Paramatma, super soul. His hands and legs are everywhere. What does it mean? Now, as we have learnt in the beginning, the Kshetrajna is the soul and super soul. That means whatever we have the senses, the knowledge acquiring senses and working senses, in one sense it belongs to me because I am using it for my activity as I desire. And it also belongs to the super soul because he is the doer, or he is the one who is making it to be done by the material nature. So when I see something, before my vision, the super soul will see it. Unless the super soul sees, I can't see it. Unless the super soul decides to perform that any particular activity through these senses, I will not be able to do it. So he is the first performer and I will be the observer. So whatever hands, legs, eyes that we are having in this body, not only in our body, in everyone's body, in human body, animal body, birds, all these bodies, these all senses, they belong to the super soul. Now living entities are everywhere. That means everywhere his hands and legs are spread. His eyes, his face, his heads, his ears, they are pervading everywhere. Sarvam avritya tishtati. Then Sarvendriya Gunabhasam. He is the source of all senses. He is the Hrishikesha. He is the master of all the senses. Without him, the senses will not work. And he is devoid of material senses. But his senses are not like our senses. When we say Krishna has no senses or doesn't have body, it means that his body is not like us. His body is spiritual. His senses are spiritual. He can do any activity through any senses. Our one sense can do the activity of one sense. We can see through the eyes. We can hear from ear. We can smell through the nose. We can taste through the tongue. But Krishna, he can do any activity. He can accept bhoga through his eyes. But if we have to eat, we have to eat to the mouth. We cannot pour the sambar into our eyes. Nobody can tolerate it. We have to put it in our mouth only. But Krishna, he can just glance over the bhoga that we offer him, and he will accept it and he will give the prasadam. Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiranjaganti ananda chinmaya sadujjvala vigrahasya govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti, whose anga, the senses or the body limbs, can do the activities of sakalendriya vrittimanti. All the activities it can do. So to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am paying the obeisances. And he has no material senses. His senses are transcendental. And he is the maintainer of all. But he has no attachment to them. He is transcendental to all of them. If we have a small piece of land or a house or something to possess, we will be too much possessive of that. We don't want to give up. We don't give to others, or we are not willing to give it up. But for the Lord, this entire creation belongs to him, the material as well as the spiritual. But still he is completely detached from it. Then the next continuation, Bahirantascha bhutanam charam acharam evacha. He is outside and inside of all moving and non-moving beings. He moves and he does not move. So how Krishna is moving and he is not moving? In Ishopanishad also this is explained. Krishna is all pervading. He is Vishnu, Vishate. He is present everywhere. When he is everywhere, what is the need of moving? He don't have to move. That means he doesn't move. But he is present in everyone's heart as Paramatma. And these living entities are moving. That means he is moving. So he can move anywhere, he can go anywhere. And at the same time, there is no need for him to move because he has already completely pervaded everywhere, omnipresent. He is subtle and thus not knowable by material senses. Our senses cannot perceive God because our senses can only see the material things. But Krishna is spiritual. That's why we need the Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santas Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. One who has that Premanjana Chakshu, then only we can see the Lord. Otherwise, it is not possible to see. He is very subtle and our material senses we cannot see. Sukshmatvatat avidnyayam. Then Durastam cha antikechayat. Although far away, he is also near to all. He is very far away because he is in Goloka. Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma bhutaha. But he is very near to all. He is within our heart. The nearest thing is to us is the heart. So he is very near to us. At the same time, he is in Goloka, which is very far. He never divided, although he appears to be divided among all beings. He is situated as one. That is, the Lord takes so many incarnations, but at the same time, he will remain one. He remains the same. The example is given, the sunlight, when it reflects on small pots, which is filled with water, we can see so many sun. But at the same time, the sun is one. Separately, he has his own identity. So even though he is divided into so many as Paramatma or so many incarnations, still he is the one person, maintainer of all beings, and also he is the creator, maintainer, and destroyer, the Kala Shakti. Bhutabritcha Tajneyam Grasishnu Prabhavishnucha. Then the source of light in all luminous objects beyond the darkness of matter, Jyotishamapi Tajyotish Tamasa Param Uchyate. He is knowledge, he is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is the knowledge. That means only through him we can understand anything. And he is the object of knowledge. What we are going to learn, finally, that is also he only. And he is the goal of knowledge. Our purpose of gaining the knowledge is to understand him. So all the three things. Jnanam, Jneyam, Jnanagamyam. That is in the 18th shloka ending is there. Jnanam, Jneyam, Jnanagamyam, Hridi Sarvasya Vishtitam. All the three things. Jnanam, Jneyam and Jnanagamyam. All the three are him only. That is the Paramatma, Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is situated in everyone's heart. Hridi Sarvasya Vishtitam. He is that Supreme Personality of Godhead is present within our heart. So we should be very happy to know this knowledge. Because having the knowledge is more important. If you are not aware of something, and even if you have that object with you, it has no meaning. It's like the father has kept a lot of property for the son, but he has not told him. Now what the son will do? He will work for daily bread. He has to work hard because he doesn't know that his father has kept him a lot of money, which is hidden somewhere. He doesn't know. But when he comes to know about it, then he can use it. Similarly, in our heart, the Lord is there. In every living entity's heart, the Lord is there. But just having the Lord within the heart is not enough. We should be aware of that presence of the Lord within our heart. Not only within our heart, within everyone's heart. Then we can make or take advantage of the presence of the Lord within our heart. Then what is the qualification to understand this knowledge? That is given in the 19th shloka. The Iti Kshetram, thus the field of activities, the body, knowledge and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only, this is very important, we should underline this sentence. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. If you want to know Krishna, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati, only my devotees can understand these things. So to understand Krishna, perform Bhakti, chant Hare Krishna daily. Then we can understand. These all knowledge gets downloaded to the heart of the devotee, not otherwise. Then in the last part of this chapter, Prakriti Purusha and their union. The first and second question is explained in the next 7 shloka. That is Prakriti, Purusha and their union. Prakriti and Purusha are eternal. And what are the roles of the Prakriti and Jiva? Karya Karana Kartrutve, text number 21. Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate. Purusha Sukha Dukkhana Bhoktrutve Hetu Ruchyate. Prakriti or the material nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects. And Purusha, the living entity, is the cause of his own happiness and distress due to his enjoying propensity. So the Prakriti and Purusha. Here Purusha means the living entity. He is only the cause of his own happiness and distress. Whatever mode he develops, accordingly he will suffer or he will enjoy. Then Jiva's association with the modes and how he gets transmigrated, that is explained in the next 22nd shloka. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the 3 modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature, and thus he meets with good and evil among various species. The Jiva, he gets entangled in the 3 modes of material nature. The final part of this chapter is Jnana Chakshu, that is vision of knowledge, how to see the this material world, how to understand this. Now 27th shloka says that the combination of Prakriti and Purusha. So there is a Jiva and there is Prakriti. If in our body also, we have this body which is a combination of Prakriti, and within that body there is a Jiva. Just like there is a vehicle and there is a driver. Unless there is a driver, the vehicle cannot move. Every entity, moving and non-moving, is the material existence is only a combination of field and of activity and the knower of the field, that is Kshetra and Kshetrajna Sanyogat. Kshetra Kshetrajna Samyogat. Together it will make a living entity. And the true seer's vision of Paramatma, 28. The super soul is equally disposed to all the living entities, and he is residing in the hearts of all the embodied. He is the indestructible situated in the destructible bodies. The living entity is indestructible. The super soul is also indestructible, but the body in which they are sitting, it gets destroyed. And one who is seeing this like this only, whatever explained by Krishna, he is the real actual seer. Ya pashyati sa pashyati. That is called jnana chakshu. Whatever Krishna has explained here. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul. If you are able to understand this, then your knowledge is perfect. Or if you are understand that neither the soul or the super soul destructible, then that is the actual seeing. The body gets destroyed. If you are able to see this, then your vision is proper. Then that is called as jnana chakshu. That means seeing with the knowledge. The seeing with the knowledge and seeing without knowledge. What is the example? Prabhupada gives an example. If the car gets stopped somewhere, some problem is in the car. Now you open the front and see the engine. You can't see anything because you don't have the knowledge of mechanic. Now you call the mechanic. He will also see the same thing, but he will understand what is the problem. And he will do something and the car will start working. So now what is the difference? Your seeing had no meaning because you are not seeing with the knowledge. But his seeing is having the knowledge. He is seeing with the knowledge. Then that seeing has meaning. Similarly, a person who has spiritual knowledge, when he sees that this material world, and an ignorant person, when he sees that this material world, it is not the same. It will have different effect. And what is the result of this knowledge? If you have this knowledge, you will not degrade yourself. You will always advance in the spiritual life. Because I know what is this material world. I know what is the jiva. And I know what is the cause of my entanglement. By knowing all these things, then I don't want to degrade myself. One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by the deviating mind. Na hinasti atmanatmanam. So the word hinasti, it is used. Na hinasti means does not degrade. One who has this spiritual knowledge. We can see now the people, how they degrade themselves, even though it is written on the smoking packet, it is dangerous, it will cause cancer, but still they smoke. Why? Because they don't have the knowledge. They are ignorant about it. But one who knows that these are the activities, if you gain the tamoguna, if you develop the ignorance mode, the mode of ignorance within you, then it will take you to the animalistic life. If you have realized it, then you will not do anything wrong in your life. You will not degrade yourself. That is the result of this knowledge, having this knowledge. Then the true vision about the Prakriti. Prakriti is the doer and Jiva is not the doer. That we should understand. And the soul is non-doer and it is not getting entangled. Then finally, the Falashruti is given in this chapter. That is the text number 35. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. That is going back to Godhead. By understanding the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, a person can go back to Godhead. Every chapter of Bhagavad Gita is so potent that if we take it seriously, if we understand properly, then we can go back to Godhead. We can achieve the goal of our life. So whatever we have discussed till now, this is a brief study of Bhagavad Gita. I'm only giving you some hints where you can dive into the in-depth study of Bhagavad Gita. It is not possible to even to explain one shloka of Bhagavad Gita also, it is not possible in 1 or 2 hours. It has so many meanings, so much of depth is there. And I'm also incapable of explaining everything. Within this time period of 1.5 hours, whatever possible, we have described to some extent. Now, whatever questions, if somebody has, they can raise their hand and ask questions in the discussion what we had today. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Chitra Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, can you please explain once Pradhan again, how Pradhan becomes, out of the 24 elements, why it is included? You said it is the Mahatattva, it glances, right? But that's in the Kshetra, what is present only we should take, right, Prabhuji? So
Yeah.
how and why should we include Pradhan in 24 elements? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Pradhana is the total ingredient. It is all present within that. From Pradhana only, everything comes out. If there is no Pradhana, then creation cannot happen. Just like you bring so many vegetables from the store and keep it in the storeroom. From the market you bring and keep it in the storeroom. For that particular day, you take a certain amount of vegetables and use it for cooking. And that what you have taken is Vyakta. And what is there inside the storeroom, it is Avyakta. It is not visible to people who came as guests. The guest can only see what you have cooked for today. For them, it is Avyakta. So the Pradhana is Avyakta. Without that, you cannot have this Vyakta. And it is in the hands of the Creator how much he wants to take from that Pradhana. Hare Krishna. Hope it answered your question. Yeah, you can unmute. Any other question? Hope everyone has given the attendance for today.